In the city's shadow, seat after seat around Birmingham, the Tories want to take from Labour. Is something shifting that could make that happen?
Tory strategists say they weren't expecting many Labour voters who backed Jeremy Corbyn in 2017 to come direct their way in this election. But they think there could be quite a lot of them considering doing just that. People who voted Leave in the referendum in 2016, maybe more than 1 million of them.
We pulled together two focus groups of former Labour voters who were Leave supporters from the Labour-held seat of Birmingham Northfield. This is what the parties do. It's a favourite technique of the mastermind of Vote Leave, Dominic Cummings, now working for Boris Johnson. We watched unfold what his team has been watching through mirrored glass for some time.
So everyone in this room voted Labour last time. Who's thinking about voting for Labour again? Put your hands up. Okay, and why is that?
Jeremy Corbyn.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Same.
James Johnson of JL Partners used to focus group for Theresa May. He gathered some 2017 Labour voters who are now on the move.
So you don't think you could be persuaded back? Between now and the 12th?
Never say never. It'll take an awful lot.
Can Jeremy Corbyn's massive public sector investment offer turn these voters?
And which party is best on the NHS at this election?
Well, Labour are going to put a lot more than the Conservatives in, aren't they? Billions of pounds, apparently. But we don't know where they're getting the money from.
I'd say that's the concern, the same.
Yeah,
but it's those specific actions. Where's that money coming from?
It's going to hit somewhere else.
And where's the money going to come from?
Yeah, that's the biggest concern.
Let's watch Jeremy Corbyn at his manifesto.
This will be investment on a scale you've never known before.
Where from?
I don't trust the word he says.
My views exactly. He just so untrustworthy.
What's broken the trust for these voters in a Labour heartland?
I think that they're old hat, if that's how you'd say it. So I feel like probably my generation, our parents voted Labour, so then we voted Labour, and I think that we've started to rethink it now, and I think that they're kind of dying out.
When you go back to the Tony Blair days, you know, you had a great leader, and you knew what he stood for, rightly or wrongly.
I agree.
And you trusted him to a certain extent. Whereas with Corbyn, nobody knows.
It doesn't
He doesn't shine, he doesn't
Give you confidence.
No, very true.
Easy for the people, really.
I don't know what the Labour Party stands for anymore. I don't. It used to be the working person's, you know, go-to party, but now I don't really know what they stand for.
What do the Labour Party stand for?
I always thought they were for common, working class people. But now it seems everything.
Up north, some of the a lot of them voted to leave, and he's gone against that, hasn't he? He hasn't said it, but he has.
Many of these voters still argue the lines Vote Leave pushed at them 3 years ago, and Brexit has helped to prise them from Labour.
I think it's one of the reasons I voted maybe to leave. We're spending so much money in Europe, and we can put it into our own National Health Service and schools and education and social work and sort it out here.
For the people that run this country, they're billionaires, and for Brexit to happen, it will be a disaster for the very, very wealthy people, not for the likes of us. So I think that's why it's took 3 years, and we're now nearer.
I agree with him. It's Boris that really wants it out, and Farage, but that's another story. But Jeremy Corbyn, he just don't know what he's going to do, is he? He's just sitting on the fence.
How do these voters rate Boris Johnson?
If you can lie to the Queen, you can lie to anybody. It's true. It's true. It's like you can lie to the Queen. You've got to trust him, and if he's not coming out with this, he's lying to the Queen. He's not admitting what he's done. He's not admitting how many kids he's got scattered everywhere. Well, why should he?
Let's face it, nobody's perfect.
No.
Boris Johnson is such a character. Is buffoon in some extent, but it's a lovable buffoon. And he's straight talking. You'll get an honest answer out of him. Might not be what you like, but he'll answer it. And everything he's saying has rapport with me.
The lovable buffoon, Boris Johnson.
That is such that. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I love it.
Sums it up perfect.
I want you to think about what kind of headline that you'd expect to see 6 months in to a Boris Johnson government.
Post-Brexit growth.
The great back in Britain.
All ties cut, Brexit finally over.
Trade talks with US ongoing. Boris has a fare.
Boris Johnson's relentlessly repeated message works a dream with these ex-Labour voters.
Get Brexit done and we can focus our hearts and our minds on the priorities of the British people.
What do we think? What do we think of that?
Oh, he's a good, strong speaker, isn't he? He's a good front man.
Yeah, he's definitely a leader.
That tiny clip there has hit on absolutely everything that all of us have spoke about.
Given the slogans have been focus grouped to death, that's no accident.
Who here's kind of thinking about voting for the Conservatives? And if so, put your hand up. OK, it's got nearly everybody. Who here is thinking of voting for the Conservatives on December 12th? And again, just put your hands up if you are. OK, so everyone. What's the biggest hesitation about voting Conservative?
It's doing something that we don't normally do.
Yeah, mainly.
It's taking a different route rather than go with what we've always known.
There's still an element of lack of trust, I think, across all the parties, though. So
it's who you least trust.
One poll this evening suggests Labour is still getting new recruits from smaller parties to make up for these departing supporters. But the disconnect with many traditional working class voters is a phenomenon many in Labour have warned of. And right now, Boris Johnson is the beneficiary, with only 10 days to the election and some postal votes already cast. Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News, Birmingham.